Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name's Molly, and today I'm going to be reviewing and reacting to Season 1, Episode 7 of The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina from Netflix. Alright, so, throughout Episode 6, there were a couple of things that I was really focused on, and one of them had to do with my maybe crazy out there theory that Nick might possibly be the Dark Lord in disguise, trying to win Sabrina over, despite herself, with her not realizing who it is that maybe she's falling for, and then maybe kind of like gently prodding her to go in the direction that he wants her to go. So things like stealing her father's journal for her, you know, to kind of get her what she wants, get her more involved in this kind of magical lifestyle. And I was happy to hear that some people in the comments thought that that was possible and didn't totally think that was crazy, because I personally think that that could be very interesting. That would be an interesting thing for the show to do, and I kind of hope that they do go in that direction. So then the other thing that I had mentioned quite a bit was my feeling that Sabrina was acting kind of hypocritical in terms of calling out other people for lying, especially her aunts, and thinking negatively of her parents for making choices on her behalf and then not telling her about them, when she is then turning around and doing the same thing with all of her friends, and even going so far as to kind of make Harvey feel like he's losing his mind when he's talking about some sort of supernatural happenings that he has seen in the past or dealt with in the past. And so, you know, I just wanted to make clear that I actually think this is a good thing that they're going in this direction. I don't think that shows should try to make their main characters perfect in every way. You know, they should have flaws, they should make mistakes, they should sometimes do, you know, stupid and maybe selfish things. So I actually kind of liked that they added that element in with this episode, and that we can see how that's going to play out. So I have a feeling that that could potentially come back to bite her if her friends are going to eventually find out some of the truth. Because you can imagine, at least I can, a situation where her friends find out the truth about her, but she's never really been actively lying to them, and maybe that would be easier to accept than if, say, Harvey finds out the truth and then is going so far as to say, well, then why did you blatantly lie to me and try to convince me these things that I knew were real were not? To me, that seems like that might be more upsetting. So, but we'll see. We'll see what happens going forward. So before I jump into episode 7, just one quick thing. I want to say a huge thank you to everybody who has signed on to be a patron on my Patreon account. If you're interested in doing so, I'll leave a link in the description of this video below. There's a variety of different tiers, and there are different rewards available, including early access videos. There are full reactions to some of the series that I'm watching. Currently that's The Expanse and then Penny Dreadful, and there will also be full reactions to Game of Thrones Season 8 when that starts in April. Really excited about that. But there's a variety of other rewards too, and there's also an option if you just wanted to, say, contribute a couple dollars a month just because you like the channel. But if you are not necessarily interested in that, totally okay. Just want to make clear that I do really appreciate everyone coming back, watching these videos. Anytime you like a video, everyone who has subscribed to the channel, everyone who comments and leaves questions for me. I just really enjoy interacting with people, and I really appreciate all of the support from everybody. So, again, Patreon, link is in the description, but if you're not interested, don't worry about it. It's not the end of the world. Alright? Okay, so with all of that being said, I'm ready to get going with episode 7. Alright? Let's...
I think it's bonkers.
Thank you.
Your father actually banned Feast of Feasts when he was high priest. He said it was barbaric.
So why is it happening again?
Well, Blackwood reinstated it the year he became high priest. He received a revelation from the Dark Lord to return to our old rituals.
Sure he did.
Wait, you're not a tribute, are you?
Zelda's putting herself forth.
I'm finding this interesting. If my theory is correct,
If I were on the chopping
he says he doesn't like it.
Let me burn white, Dark Lord. Let it be me. Delighted to see you, Sister Mildred.
So red. But they said white, right?
Prudence is queen.
I don't want Prudence to get eaten.
Like you wish. When will it be my turn?
Crazy!
All hail, Queen of the Feast.
Kneel before your queen.
Do you realize how close you came to being sacrificed?
I didn't think you would let me
Yeah.
get through with the drawing.
Oh, so it's my fault that you decided to play a game of chicken with me in front of the entire coven. That's
Yeah.
What's done is done.
Probably wasn't the
It's
right
just
time to try and make your
Perez
argument.
decided to spare you both. Not entirely. Sabrina drew the lot of handmaiden.
Better to be the shepherd and the lamb.
Which means what exactly?
Handmaiden,
Ansel
where's
still
the-
hasn't told me.
The lamb is the queen
Like,
and the
Handmaid's
shepherd
Tale?
is the handmaiden.
The Queen's exaltation is the highest honor. So for the next 3 days, while the coven fasts and prepares for the feast, the handmaiden must indulge the Queen's every whim.
Great, so I'm supposed to spoil the girl who harrowed me.
Preferably with figs and wild berries to sweeten her meat before the feast.
That's not even funny, Ambrose.
Oh, come on, cuz it is a little funny. Prudence getting her just desserts by literally becoming the dessert.
Tell me, handmaiden, will this be your first time supping on witch flesh?
What? I'm not going to eat you, Prudence. You don't have to go through with this madness, you know. I mean, just between us, you don't really want to be queen, do you?
Of course I do.
But if you wanted to escape, well, I would happily look the other way.
Why would I want to escape? I'm about to be transubstantiated. Meaning, after the coven consumes my body, I will be a part of every single witch in the Dirt of Blood. Forever. But that's not even the best part. My spirit will reside in the Dark Lord's heart alongside the other queens, basking in the glow of his glorious fire until the trumpets of the apocalypse are sounded.
And you believe that?
With absolute certainty.
Why? What is
But
Father Blackwood's
that's
reason
not what
for
happens.
reinstituting this? Just to,
What
like,
if you're
assert his power?
sacrificed and it's just over?
Yeah, and you
Is
just
that what
become
you
food.
I don't know what happens when we die. It's impossible to know.
Yes, but what do you believe? How's that for you? Not to have faith in anything.
Kicked some people out who lived in the hills and took them over.
What does that mean?
By kicked out, he means killed. And by took over, he means stole.
Uh-oh.
What did you say your family name is?
Harvey?
So you're a descendant of the Von Kunkels, then? Those hill people your ancestors killed were witches, which makes your family
Come on, Prudence. Everybody knows that witches aren't real.
Your family committed atrocities and blood eternities.
Uh-oh.
Kidding! She's kidding! I am going to show her the rest of the school, but we will see you guys later. What made you run, Desmelda, from the Dark Lord?
I didn't run from the Dark Lord.
Her eye's bothering me.
I ran from my high priest.
Mm.
I was a child. We all were, all 14 of us who took part in the lottery. Younger than you. No one questioned why that was, and I was selected to be queen. And then
Her high priest had a revelation.
delivered unto him by the Dark Lord, allegedly. The night before the feast, the high priest was to initiate her. I was a child. Rather than allow herself to be violated, Esmeralda fled.
Great. So is that why Father Blackwood put that back in?
What happened then isn't what Father Blackwood is asking now. Just listen to your words. Father Blackwood is asking you to do this thing, not the Dark Lord. Father Blackwood is a righteous messenger, but he isn't divine. He's flesh
he
and
wants
blood,
you to bully
just
Sabrina.
like you and me, which means he has faults and he sins.
Yeah.
He can be wrong. He can be corrupted.
This part of the forest is where the Kinkle men have always hunted. They used to call it Moon Valley. I'll tell you, I've seen some strange things out here.
I just keep seeing him yelling for Adama. Battlestar Galactica. Don't kill it.
It's Harvey's first hunt.
Uh-oh.
He should do the honor.
We're insidious. He isn't doing anything except carrying out the Dark Lord's will. And Sabrina, I want to be queen. I've dreamed about it. Why can't you accept that?
What have you done? Who else have you brought to this place?
Of course, Lady Blackwood. I understand you. You know what they're really like. Always whispering and then plotting. I think they're gonna kill my babies. No one is going to hurt your babies. You just have a touch of third trimester hysteria, nothing more. Who's plotting? Those Wayne sisters? Those sluts. I won't let them conspire against me. My children will come first. Why? Why should the orphans wish you any harm? All three of them. They think they're so clever. Planning to take what belongs to my children. They would have done anything. Hurt them. Curse them.
What?
So I had to hurt them first.
Yeah.
And the others are no threat. Consequence.
Sabrina was right.
Can lay claim to that title. So if Father Blackwood had other children out in the world, they could all make a play for the seat.
Well, Sabrina was the child of a high priest, so...
Prudence, I need to talk to you. I'm being fitted for my feast day dress. It was premature of me to accuse Father Blackwood of having an agenda when he chose you as queen. Finally, you've come to... Instead, I think it might be Lady Blackwood who wants you dead. What a blasphemous creature you are.
Constance, Prudence is our queen.
No, she's not my queen. She's a bastard. When was the last time you cast a spell, Lady Blackwood? The night of Feast Day Lottery? And what spell did you cast? I enchanted the ballot box to favor Prudence as queen.
Why would you do that?
Because she and her slut sisters are your seed. Because you are a voracious slut yourself. And that means trouble for my children.
Ambrose.
I'm so sorry, husband. I'm not sure why I'm threatening myself like this. It's because your queen requested a special cake for her last supper. Aunt Hilda's truth cake. One bite, and you cannot lie.
I am
And my mother?
dead.
By your hand?
Sabrina. Indirectly.
Alright, well that was episode 7. So a lot of stuff happened that episode, very interesting. I think this this is probably my favorite episode so far. There was a lot of really interesting developments, a lot of magical stuff, and, you know, even things that kind of involved her more mortal friends, all really tied back into things in the wider story. So that was fun. That was fun. It was interesting. So I like that we got a bit of a focus on Prudence. I think that she might be my favorite. Maybe Ambrose, but the two of them are my favorite characters, I think. At least at the moment. Well, and of course Salem. Yeah, obviously. But yeah, so I enjoyed that aspect. It was interesting to find out that she is Father Blackwood's daughter. So you could see maybe there's some element of his own sense of self and his family line when he's trying to compare Prudence and Sabrina, or to instigate fights between them, or to get Prudence to kind of try and bully her or one-up her. Maybe it is some sort of like tie into a conflict or jealousy that he personally had of Sabrina's father, who was the high priest before him. And speaking of the high priest title and the whole concept of inheriting that Zelda brought up, makes me curious, is that something that Sabrina could lay claim to one day, or would she want to, based on the fact that her father was a high priest, and maybe could she challenge Father Blackwood's authority in some way? So I wonder if that will come into play at some point in the future on the show. Not sure. I also, as I mentioned, if my Nick theory proves to be correct, I also thought that it was pretty interesting that he was opposed to this feast. So that would kind of contradict Father Blackwood's claims about the Dark Lord coming to him and saying that this needs to be re-put back in place, this sort of practice. And it would also suggest that if they had eaten Prudence, that, you know, it wouldn't have had the results that she was hoping for about going and sitting by the Dark Lord's side as a queen, or... Yeah. So, if I was right about Nick, then I guess it's very, very good news for Prudence that Sabrina found out the truth and she didn't end up going through with that. Yeah. I also am curious to see what happens with Harvey in the future. Obviously, both with the kind of cliffhanger, because we see that the other two sisters, so Dorcas and Agatha, they're saying that the two of them are basically practicing some sort of voodoo type magic using dolls to attack Harvey and his brother, because they're under the impression that their family was witch hunters in the past and maybe still today. So of course I'm interested to see what happens there, because obviously nothing good is going to come out of it. But I'm also interested in seeing if there's some validity to that idea. As I said during my reaction, when Sabrina had her nightmares, when she was trapped in her nightmares from the sleep and dream demon, she imagined Harvey finding out what she was, and kind of like chants of kill the witch coming from people, including, I believe, his family members, and then he's killing her. And then, so we see discussion of his family heritage, maybe being witch hunters in the past, and then they actively show them out hunting, and they kill a familiar. You kind of wonder if maybe that is something underneath the surface that, I mean, not to say his family history, because I think that's pretty clear that it is the case that his ancestors were witch hunters. But if maybe there's still something like that going on with his family under the surface, if that's going to come in one way in the future. And to me, that would definitely make her relationship with him more interesting too. At this point, it just seems like a nice little high school relationship, and there's not really that much that's been particularly exciting about it. But if you add in the added element of that, and then if you have the Nick character as the Dark Lord, that could potentially be a kind of interesting love triangle going forward, maybe. So I thought that was fun. I really liked that episode a lot. Interesting orgy scene, but putting that aside. Overall, I just felt that it was a really solid episode all the way through, beginning to end. Good character development, plot development, and fun. Just fun to watch. So, alright. Well, if there's anything that you think that I missed that is important, Please do leave it down below in the comment section, or if you have just other comments or questions for me, same thing, please leave them down below. And otherwise, I'll just say thank you so much for joining me once again, and hopefully I'll see you next time for episode 8. Bye.